So imagine a mini me at 9 years old. Just started a new school, completely excited to meet new friends and have new people to learn with, to play with, to have slumber parties with, and all that fun stuff in this new environment for me called Hebrew school. On my third day there, I couldn't wait to get back. I was so excited to learn, to continue learning the alphabet and all the things that we were studying in that time. And I ran into the building, into the classroom, and went to the back of the room where our cubbies were, you know, this like tall bookcase. And I reached up because my cubby was at the top, and our names were on there. And I was reaching and reaching at the tippy toes, trying to get this plastic case out of the shelf. And it was a little further back than what it had been in days before. And so I finally got it, and I grabbed it, and water fell all over my head. And all of those new friends that I was so excited about were laughing. But not just laughing with guilt, because they had actually put the water there. Being black is a risk. Being black and Jewish is a double whammy. A lot of people choose to take a risk. But for me, and people like me, my very being is a risk. When I was in 6th grade, I was at a Jewish day school, and I had a teacher who was really progressive. And she talked a lot about civil rights and equality and Jewish values, not only being Jewish values, but human values. And one day she said in the middle of the class, "Gamal, stay after class." And I said, "Okay." And I went up to her after class, and I said, "Yeah, so, what's up?" And she said, "I saw you throwing those spitballs." And I was like, "That wasn't me." And she's like, "No, I saw you," and I'm trying to, convince her and make my case that that wasn't me. And she interrupts me and says, "Boy, get down on your hands and knees and pick up those papers." I was mortified. I was scared. I was angry, frustrated. I didn't know what to do. And so I wanted to leave the room, and as I was leaving, she grabbed my arm, and we had this kind of like push-pull, tug, and my elbow went back into her face, and she fell on the floor. And there I was, not knowing what to do or what recourse that I had. So I ran into the boys' bathroom, because it's Jewish day school, predominantly women teachers, so I figure, I won't be bothered for a little while. That year that I was in that school, I think I really suffered from otherness, and I maybe acted out or did things that weren't really authentic to me. And being the only person of color in the school, that can happen sometimes. And so I actually wasn't able to finish school there. I actually stopped going there 3 weeks before summer, only to go to a public school where I was a minority again, but in a different way. Because this time I was in a school predominantly of color, but I was this light-skinned black guy who was Jewish and straight off the private school boat, which does not go too well. It is an emotional risk. It's a psychological risk. It's a risk of always being self-conscious, of always wondering, how am I going to respond to something that somebody says that makes me feel uncomfortable or that's challenging my identity, and not wanting to be misinterpreted as aggressive or as not welcoming their welcoming of me. For most of my life, I have traversed spaces where I am the only or one of the only people of color. And what people like myself want are to be accepted and appreciated for their intelligence, for their creativity, for their oddity, just like anyone else. But it's a risk. It's a risk to be told that, well, you only got this job because you're black. Or you were asked to speak here tonight because you're the Jew of color. We have the opportunity as innovators as intrapreneurs, as entrepreneurs, as people committed to community building, to shift this reality, to transform our spaces. So my request to all of you and me is to go back to your offices, to your communities, to your centers, institutions, your families, and just notice who amongst you is walking around possibly having that feeling of water falling on their head. And what can we do to be more inclusive? What can we do to have more patience for a different way of thinking, consciousness, and life experience, so that being who we are is no longer a risk to take? Thank you.